All right. All right, we got 1 minute left. 1 minute. 1 minute left. Let's see what happens. Till that 5 minute range. Five-minute range. Let's see. We got the top of the 5 minute range pretty much set right there. We got, all right, 30 seconds. Pretty big range, so that's good. All right, there's the bottom. So there's that 5 minute range set. All right. In terms of news, what do we have? What do we have today for news? Powell speaking at 12:20, so no major news today. Again, wow. I guess that's a good thing. See what happens here. All right, there's the closure. There's the closure below that 5 minute range. See what happens. Is this going to be actually... Let me see on higher time frames. Let's see what's going on. 60-minute. All right, we got lows down here that may want to take out on the 60-minute. Oh, that gap's going to get filled from... that gap's about to get filled. From the Trump, the news about China, where he said, don't worry or whatever. The good news that from that pump. So I think we take out these lows right here and fill this gap. $15-minute. Yeah, it looks like we want those lows. 5-minute. You missed the shorts? No, I didn't miss any shorts. I wouldn't want to get shorts. I'm still waiting. Alright, looks like we may have a continuation type of day. See. We just filled that gap from Sunday. From Sunday's, whatever, the Trump thing. The good positive news about China, where he said don't worry. Actually no, we haven't filled it yet. There's that gap right there. So we took out the lows, pre-market lows. And there's the gap fill. Alright, let's see what happens here. Interesting to see, are we going to start getting movement back up, or is this going to be pretty much the bottom? see what happens here. I mean, we may honestly. Dang. Stop losses. That pivot point's weird. I have it different on my other chart. I don't know why it's down here. Why it's getting calculated differently than my other chart on NQ. So far, seller's still strong. Let's see if do we have any gaps on the 5 minute or something. Yeah, we got a big imbalance. We got a big imbalance on the 5 minute right there, so. Right at that pivot point. Yeah. Dang. If this is gonna bounce, right, this is kind of the area where it's gonna bounce at. We'll see. Play it by ear. If the risk to reward makes sense, I mean. Yeah, it might be a retrace. We gotta. It all depends on how they react off the bottom of this 5 minute candle, right? Like, do we pop back into the range very strong and then leave behind a bullish imbalance? Well, that may be my signal to go long, but if we kind of push back up and start rejecting off this 5 minute, bottom, then that could be a sign to potentially go short. So what they do at this bottom, at this 5 minute right here, will depend on what happens, kind of. Trading platform do you recommend? I use NinjaTrader, but I mean, I can't really. I only use, when I started trading futures, I've only used NinjaTrader, so I can't really talk about other platforms if they're good or bad. I just know NinjaTrader is good. I mean, it does what I want it to do, right? It gets me in and out of trades. That's all I want a platform to do. I don't need a platform to give me all these fancy crap. Just get me in the trade, get me out of the trade when I want, and that's it. Nothing else. Is NinjaTrader a free platform? Yeah, it's free, yeah. You don't have to you don't have to pay to use it or anything. I use it with prop firms, so. All right, at this point, I think shorts are more in play than longs. I mean, we've already kind of, look at this. We're starting to dump. Regardless, now, even if price does come back up and kind of show me, the risk to reward for me on that would not be good anyway. So I'm gonna switch to my other strategy. Give me a second. I have to switch accounts because this strategy for these accounts pretty much is not gonna work out today. So I have to switch my accounts for the other strategy. Let's see. I hate doing this because you have to cancel every. All right. PA1. Let's go to here. PA1. All right. Give me a second, guys. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I think I'm good. All right, I think I'm good. All right. So just switch to my other accounts. We're going to be looking for, at this point, I think a short is in play. I'm not looking for that risk to reward. Like I said, regardless, even if price does come back up and give me a long setup, at this point, it's pushed down so far that the risk to reward would not even make sense anymore. So I'm more inclined for price at this point to come back up and start rejecting off this area for a short. Right? Initially, I was looking for a potential long back into these if it was going to give. But at this point, right, we're going to... I see this thing potentially pushing back up, possibly sweeping this high right here, tapping into this imbalance. There's a lot of imbalance. There's an imbalance on the 5 minute there too, to reject off there. So... But, all right. Sorry if I missed your question. Is this day trading? Yes, I'm day trading. I'm switching teams. Yeah, switching teams. Hey, I just go with the flow. I'm like a bandwagon. Whoever's winning, that's how I'm hopping on. Bears are winning. Hey, let's go. I'll join your guys' party. If Bulls would be winning, hey, we're going with you too. I go with the flow. And you can see, let's see on the 5 minute, right? Look at the 5 minute. Let me pull it up real quick. Look at the 5 minute chart. Right? Look at all these bearish imbalances right there. So when price does, gosh, pull up, right? We got this bearish imbalance. We got this bearish imbalance. So there's a lot of resistance back up here for price to at least have some form of rejection, right? So for these accounts, I'm scalping it, right? These are kind of, I'm doing very quick scalps on these accounts. Probably take like, I would probably want to go short somewhere here. Just take a very quick scalp. We're getting a lot of volatility today. What happened with the tournament? It's over. It's gone. It was only a week long. If you get price there, are you gonna sell closest to the break of structure? You want to sell that break of structure to the upside. I mean, it depends. It depends how it reacts, right? I'm looking for a quick scalp. I'm not looking to hold, right, all the way to the bottom of the range. These accounts, I'm going to be looking for, like, you know, the 10, 20 point scalp. So all I'm looking for is price to tap in, quickly reject, and I take my profits. So I trade these accounts a little different than I trade the other accounts. I would not be looking for, you know, all the way move back down, which it could, right? It all depends. This level right here, it could sweep it and then reject, or like you said, it could break this right here with strength, and then that, when it pulls back, that kind of should hold as support if it's going to continue going up. So this is like the breaking. This matters a lot right here. What it's going to do. Is it going to sweep it, reject off the bottom of the 5 minute, or is it going to take it out and start closing strong and support? But at the same time, pay attention. there's a lot of resistance up here. Like I showed you on the 5-minute, there's a lot of gaps, right? A lot of gaps to the upside, bearish gaps, and we got the 200 right there. We got view up there. We got a pivot point right there. So it would, in order for price to continue pushing up, it would need a lot of strength. I think it's going to have at least a little bit of some kind of rejection right there. So I'm just trying to catch that. I'm trying to build these accounts up. So I'm just trying to take base hits. I'm not trying to get greedy or, you know. What's up? What's up? Did you trade yesterday? Yeah, I took a trade yesterday. Took a banger yesterday. Yesterday's price action was amazing. So, started the week off really good. But I took the that trade on the other accounts. It was the other strategy. The strategy I used yesterday, it's not playing out today. So, I'm trading my other accounts with the... See what happens. Buyers are trying to step in. 5-minute chart. We got what? Again, right? Pay attention to higher time frame charts. We got a lot of bearish imbalances. 15-minute chart. What's going on? All right, this candle is about to close. When's that 15-minute candle? I think it did it just... crap, come on. Where's my mouse? 40. Oh, okay. It just 10 o'clock. So we got 10 minutes till that new 15-minute candle closes. So we'll see. See how you got 4 green candles after that low? That's bullish. She gonna grind up to London highs. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bullish. It just means that you just had buyers stepping in. And by buyers, I mean the bots, the algo. All right, what was I gonna do? Hourly chart. All right, we're tapping off that gap. Notice this gap right here from that. We're tapping off that gap and trying to run up. Bruh, get out of here, dude. Stop scamming. But yeah, like, we'll see. I mean, hold on. I shouldn't have done that. Hold on. Like, we'll see, right? It is starting to confirm potential uptrend. I'm not gonna lie. It is starting to... Oh boy. Wow, that's a massive rip. Hold on. Quick, very quick scalp. Let's see. Not gonna get greedy. If I do take a scalp. Here, give me a second. I'll be back. Oh my gosh. That was the scalp that I missed it. Dang it. Bruh. All right, let's see what happens here. I'm gonna... I'm just trading the strategy, man. I'm not... That first one would have actually worked out. It's going to be some form of rejection here, I'm expecting. Got a lot of resistance here. This is a rejection area, so you got to be careful. This could reject here. I mean, this is kind of the line in the sand if it is going to have... Willing to give it a stab if it... Just for a very quick scalp. Very quick scalp here. You see just a 1-to-1. Willing to take the risk on it. I think there's going to be a form of rejection there. And there's TP. Boom. One and done, son. Very quick. I'm scalping these accounts. I'm not going to hold. I'm not going to get greedy. I'm trying to work my way these accounts back. They're in some drawdown. That's why I'm taking very quick scalps on them. That last tariff news, I stopped trading him after that, and I'm gonna have some... Look at that. Perfect sell. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Bruh. Look at that. I literally caught the top. The top tick demon. Dude, that is wild. The algos can't. I'm freaking faster than the algos. I'm in there first, and then the algos come in. And you can't get greedy with stuff like this. You gotta just, this strategy is base hit strategy. This is not something that I would hold for. Yeah, this, I mean, it could, yeah. We're kind of switching momentum, right? That's why you kind of have to have a base hit. Because look, we did have a rejection, but at the same time, I understand in my mind, right? This high right here, where you see right here, this high, and this high right here, and there's a bullish gap right there. I understand in my mind that price could very likely pull back and it could bounce off these highs right there, right? And I said this before, right? If price is gonna move up, it's gonna push up strong, pull back, kind of hold this as support to continue going up. So that's why I took base hits. I understand that I can't get greedy and try to hold for the bottoms. I take what the market gives me. I understand that I can have a pullback. It gives me that pullback I wanted, but at the same time, I understand that there's a bullish gap right there. Previous resistance becomes new support once it breaks through this strong. So I understand, you know, that this could continue going up. So I'm just taking what the market gives me. And we got a lot of resistance right there too. Yeah, Powell's speaking at like 12:20, I think, or something like that. Over 3K profit for TPT. Still have 2 days. 3K profit. I still have 2 days to trade to get funded. What happens? Just continue trading your strategy. Don't just get to that funded level, and yeah, get put in a funded account and just trade the same way. Once you hit that target, you'll get put in a funded. Your account, they'll give you another account. It'll go back to that starting balance, and then work your way up to this level again, and then you could start taking payouts above that buffer zone. And the cool thing about TPT is you could start taking daily payouts. Once you get to that level, you could start taking daily payouts. So, but don't get greedy, right? Don't just try to like, don't try to get such a big position that, you know, you blow your account in a couple bad trades. Like, allow yourself that wiggle room, because the last thing you want to do is work your way up and then blow your account. Kind of scale back, depending on how you're trading your evaluation. If you're trading it very aggressively, scale back for the funded. No, so I traded the other strategy. I switched accounts. So if you were here yesterday, you saw me trade my other strategy. This kind of break back into this 5 minute. I'm not trading that today just because of, right, this big push down right here. That risk to reward became not worth it anymore. It pushed down way too much. Even if I do get a setup, I'm going to be risking twice as much as my profits. So it would not make sense. So that's why you saw me take a short. This is the kind of the other strategy that I use for my other accounts. I switched accounts. And the other strategy is kind of the strategy. If the first strategy doesn't work, not that it doesn't work. I don't get a setup on the first strategy. Typically, I get a setup on the second strategy. And that's like, you know, kind of when we push down, and I'm expecting kind of this 5 minute to hold as resistance potentially. Bro. Oh my gosh. Bruh. This is, oh my gosh. Why is it doing this? Any trades? I just got in. Yeah, I took one trade today so far. One trade so far. We'll see. Caught the top on this move up. Bro, what is this screen? Hold on. Give me a second. I'm getting some kind of... Getting some kind of freaking... Alright. What if I go over the 3K, though? Will it ruin the rule part? No, no. You just have to hit 3K profit. You just have to hit 3K profit. You don't... If you hit 3,500 or... the thing that will ruin you... I'm not sure, actually, TPT, if they have a... I don't think they have a... What's it called for... what is it called? Like a 30 or 40%, 30% rule. Theirs may be different. I gotta check the rules, but in an evaluation account, yeah, you should be fine. You can hit 3,500, 4,000 profit. It doesn't matter. You'll still pass. But once you go, I would say once you go over that $33,000, like if you're in a trade and you went over 3,000 already, just take your profits and then wait, and you'll get a like an email or whatever that you passed, and then you can get put in a funded. Consistency rule, yeah, but I don't think I don't think there's a consistency rule for evaluation accounts. Or maybe there is. There is actually. There is. I remember it being on my dashboard. On Apex doesn't have a consistency rule for evaluation. Take profit, I think, does. Yeah, there's a consistency rule for evaluation on take profit. Apex doesn't have it. Gosh, someone's here again. Hold on. Let me see who this is. All right. Yeah, is it 50%? Yeah, it's 50% consist, so it's not a bad consistency rule. But make sure you scale down. Make sure you scale down when you get to your funded account. Do not trade that aggressively on a funded. Me personally, I take all my evaluations pretty like, you know, it's, I guess for me, I trade multiple accounts, so I can't be too aggressive on them because I can't just keep blowing accounts by trading too aggressively. So, I typically even size down on my evaluation. If I'm buying like, you know, 7 accounts, then obviously I'm not gonna, but if you're trying to pass like 1 or 2 accounts, you know. All right, we're starting to push up. We're still below VWAP, but we're starting to push above this, the pivot and the 200. We're still below VWAP though, which is weird. You know what's weird is, I think it's just because I'm on NQ and I'm looking on, I'm on MNQ, but I'm looking on NQ chart on my other. I have a pivot point right where that line is right there. On my other, on the NQs. It moves a little differently. It's the same, it's a different contract, so there's a little bit of a difference, but... Yeah, I'll probably go to micros when I get funded to downsize. Yeah, and this is what's important about having, knowing your data. When you know your data, you can size according to your data, right? That's what I do. Like, I really don't have more than 2 losing trades in a row. So I'll allow myself to have, you know, say 5 losing trades in a row before I blow my account. After 2 losing trades in a row, I can size down until I make it back, and then I'll size back up. So it's kind of like dynamic risk control. So it allows you to be aggressive in your accounts, but at the same time, if you go on a little bit of a streak, a losing streak, you size down, make it back up, and then you can size back up again. So that when you're in a losing, when you're in like a streak of losing trades, right, you're kind of risk off, and then when you're actually making money and on a losing streak, on a winning streak, you're sized up. So your account has that kind of like that curve of like your losing days are a little bit, and then your winning days start to get more propelled, you know. So my rule is only 2 trades a day and done. If red, then red if I'm done. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good rule to have. Every trader needs some kind of rule like that. I mean, I don't either. I don't take more than 2 trades a day. Usually it's 1 trade a day. Like, here's the thing. Sometimes, like, for these scalping accounts, I'll take more than 1 trade. But typically for my other strategy, I get 1 setup a day. That's it. I don't get any more setups. And but for this one, yeah, I can. These accounts, I could scalp them. But what's the point of, like, there's no point of taking like 5 trades a day, right? At that point, you're just trying to catch every little move. You wait for the higher probability setups where, and then you take it, make your profits, and you walk away. And the next day you come in, you wait for your high probability setups, you take it, you walk away. And those little high probability consistencies is what really helps you out and makes you as a trader. Two minute? Let me see. This one? Talking about this one down here? That's on a 5 minute too, I think. Right? That's a 5 minute gap too. Yeah, there's a 5 minute gap there too. Yeah, like these kind of like areas, right? And you got to determine like where you take profit. Like where you take profit matters so much about if that trade is a winning trade or it's a losing trade. I mean, that's all in your system. That just depends on you. Are you going to be the person that, you know, maybe takes it and you want, you know, runs all the way up to the highs? Or are you somebody who takes it for just the quick, you know? But at the same time, if you take quick profits, your stop loss has to make sense, right? You can't have a stop loss at the lows. You can't have a stop loss at the lows and then be like, you know, as soon as you get like 30 points in profit, you end up getting out of the trade. So you at least have to have a 1-to-1, you know, so stop loss kind of below the lows, take profit maybe above there, you know, just for a quick 1-to-1. But I really like the initial, like, see when price kind of broke out? See when price kind of broke out right here? The ideal would be, right, tap back into it immediately. Now you have, look how much profit you have versus the risk. And like, you got to look at your data. Where is it best to put your stop? Is it best to put your stop below this like internal swing low? Or is it best to put it at the external, like this swing low? Well, it looks like we're just continuing to grind up. We could be going for... Bro, I didn't even notice what kind of drop we had tonight. I did not even notice that. Look at the pre-market drop. That's wild. Look at this pre-market level drop. Market opened, pushed up, and then just completely rejected off that. Bro, does anyone have a strategy? I wonder if you could come up. Look at this is so this is the hourly chart. Look at how well it respects this 200 on the hourly chart. Look at that. This was pre-market open. Opened, rejected off that 200 and completely just sold off. Now look at this again. Look at this. Look at this. Bounce off the 200. Bounce off the 200. Right, we got some chop around the 200 here. But freaking wild. Like, the way it respects the 200 sometimes. But you do get a lot of areas of chop. So, you know, it can't be a strategy you just use the 200. But, because you will get chopped up eventually. Here, give me a second. I think someone's here. I think we're good. So, we may go to pre-market. No, not pre-market. We got view up here. Pre-market's a long ways away. We got a lot of bearish imbalances to the upside. So we're at view up right now. This is a do or die. This is kind of a... We're rejecting off of view op, so in between right here, where you have this... See this blue line right there? That's pretty much view op. So we're kind of bouncing in between the two. You can probably see some chop here. Bouncing in between view op and that 200. So, at some point, I feel like we're going to get a rejection, but I doubt this thing is going to go to pre-market highs. Bro, it's a long ways away. Oh, crap. I didn't even realize that. Oops. Oh well. Doesn't matter. 665? 665. 665? 665. You gotta pay attention to the 15-minute liquidities. 15-minute right there. So you have a high, yeah, 665. So we got a high at 665, then we have another high 712, and then you have another high at 749 with a bearish gap and a pivot point. So this seems like a way better area right here as a rejection area. And look to the left. So you got all this resistance up here, old support turned into resistance. You got this high 749, bearish imbalance, and a pivot point all together. So there's going to be some form of rejection here, somewhere between 9:30 and 10:30 is going to shoot up. Well, we're already at 10. It's already 10:30. Sometimes you get rejections at 10:30 if it takes out the 665 level and then rejects. All right, here it is. We just broke view up. 920. Icky cutter. All right, let's see. All right, we swept that 15-minute level. 15-minute level swept. Depending on how it reacts here. All right, I'm gonna move this line. That was a 5-minute level. I'll just move it up to see, so I can see better on the 15-minute. This kind of determines what's going to happen, like what price does here. Is it going to take out these levels and then sellers step in? When's that close of that 15-minute? It closes in 10:30, 10:45, new candle. So, or no, 10:30, what the heck? 10:30, sorry. So, Starting to push through it. I think at some point we are. I really doubt this thing is gonna rip all the way up. I think the highest, in my perspective, the highest area, the highest probability it could reject is, like I said before, where you have this pivot point here, imbalance, right here, right inside this gap. I'll actually draw the gap out. All right, let's see. This right here. So this kind of level here inside this box, I think is the highest probability that it could reject. Now we do have some more, like these also above it aren't bad gaps either, right? You got the 200, but in terms of probability wise, I mean, I think there's a pretty decent chance that we could reject somewhere here. Now, how big the rejection is, I don't know. I don't know how big the rejection is, but you know, we could have a little bit, we could have a tiny rejection just back to this, or we could have a massive sell-off. We'll see. I'm just curious to see what happens there. All right, let me go to 1 minute chart to see what happens. All right, we're starting to break through, and you got to notice we're breaking through with bullish imbalances, which is a pretty, you know, pretty bullish sign. So should I get an Apex account and get one of those funded as well? Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, if you have a strategy, here's the thing. If you have a strategy and you're confident in your strategy and you know it works, then, I mean, yeah, getting more accounts is going to be beneficial for you so that, you know, you can copy trade them too, so. And they're 80% off, so, I mean, Apex accounts are like 33 bucks. So if you get, you know, 1 or 2 Apex accounts, pass them, and then you'll have, you know, some TPT accounts, some Apex accounts. So I have 2 groups of accounts, right? 2 different strategies, 2 groups of accounts. So one group of account, I have 10 funded Apex accounts. And then my other group of accounts, I have 7 Apex accounts and 2 take profit trader accounts. So total, so the 7 accounts, they're not funded yet. I'm very close to passing those accounts. Like less than $1,000 away from passing all 7 of those accounts. So I'm just taking it easy, waiting for good setups, and then but yeah, total would be 17 accounts. So that's the power of when you have multiple accounts. Say you have 17 accounts, or 7 accounts copy traded for one strategy, another strategy 10 accounts. Like, you know, you end up making, that's when you make really good money per day. Are you looking for a trade right now? I'm kind of seeing what happens. I mean, I'm not really too inclined, unless something is very good. I mean, I already took a trade. I took a trade in a pretty high probability area, so 732. I'm seeing what happens at this level. I think we could get a rejection off this imbalance right there. Pretty decent size imbalance, so it's like your stop would need to be, you know, in accordance to that. I mean, we're pushing through high. We can, I mean, this could even pull back to this imbalance right there, and this could be a not a bad you know, bounce area. Like, hypothetically speaking, if you look at even this as like this imbalance, so that if it pulls back and holds that as support. But these kind of, when you see me taking these imbalanced scalps, they're scalps. Like, I'm not somebody who expects it to like bounce and then continue running, you know. I know there could be some form of buying pressure coming in at this imbalance, so all I'm looking for is a scalp. I'm not looking for crazy, you know, moves. Those base scalps, listen, those scalps add up over time. When you could take base hit scalps and have proper risk management, bro, they stack up over time. So we'll see. We're kind of in the middle of, now we're above VWAP. Where's that VWAP actually? Let me see. Yeah, so this kind of, this bottom imbalance right there, it's right above VWAP. So you kind of have VWAP supporting it. So right below there, VWAP is like right here. So you got some decent amount of support right there for a price to potentially come down here and bounce off that. So interesting to see. So here's this rejection. This may be a reject. That's the rebalancing to go higher. Let's see. Bruh, people just like. It's always in the morning too. It's always in the morning. So let's see what happens here. Appreciate the likes. Thank you. Alright, we're coming into that imbalance. Seeing what happens here. So hypothetically, let's just say 20, 30, 40, 60 point to 60 point. How do you mark your imbalances? I just use the box tool. They usually have, like NinjaTrader has a box tool where you right click and then you go to drawing tools, and then you'll have like a rectangle tool and you just draw a rectangle where that imbalance is, where you see a gap in the market. So that it highlights it for you, you can see a little better. Oh, just passed my funded from those long. Nice. Nice, congratulations. Bro, I remember when I passed my first evaluation account, bro, I was so happy. That was a lot of work for me. And I didn't pass it just like, you know, it was like, bro, I was happy. So I know how it feels. It feels good. So whatever you're doing, you know, just continue, what's it called? Continue trading, you know, depending on how you size for your evaluations, you know, make sure you're sized according so you don't blow. Last thing you want to do is blow a funded in like, you know, 1 or 2 bad losing streaks. Like, there are times where, depending on your strategy, you're going to go through some drawdown. It's different for everyone, but you got to size according so you don't blow those accounts. And what I like kind of recommend is what I do is, like I said before, is dynamic risk control. So Like if, for example, if I never take, say, based on my data, right? I don't really take more than 2 losing trades in a row. Let's just hypothetically say 3. If I never take more than 3 losing trades in a row, I can allow myself, you know, some like 7 losing trades in a row before I blow my account. So that if I get to that 3 losing trades in a row, I size down, half size, makes back some, you know, take some base hits, make back some of those losing trades. And then once I make back, I can size back up. So it's dynamic risk control. So when you're going through a losing streak, you're sizing down to protect yourself. And then when you're going through winning streaks, you're sizing back up to build up your account. So you have that nice curve, you know. So we're getting a bounce, and we didn't even tap into the gap. We're getting a bounce. So yeah, I'm glad I could help. I mean, that's kind of the move that, you know, I was expecting off the gap, but it didn't even tap into the gap. See, now this gap, now that this move pops up like this, now I get kind of worried to take this gap. Like, now this gap becomes a little worrisome for me, because if we fail to make a new high, if we fail and this thing just rejects, well, now it could break through this gap at this point. So maybe like this gap for this, you know, there's a very tiny gap down here. But the fact, I wouldn't like to take trades off of super tiny gaps, but when it's right at like view up, it's actually right above view up, right below view up. Yeah, this would scare me a little bit, right? This higher low. I wait for the gap to get touched, and then an engulfing candle over the candle that touched the gap. I mean, that's not... Yeah, I see what you mean. Kind of like... Yeah, that could be... That's smart. That's smart because you have, in essence, right? You have a confirmation. You're not just taking kind of... You're not just taking an entry right inside that gap. Not to say you could take an entry inside the gap, but I feel like it has to be scalps. Because you don't know, really. Like, typically you get some form of buying pressure in there, but you're looking for that confirmation. So you're not just taking it. You're waiting for the confirmation for buyers to step in, and then you kind of step in after them, and then you kind of take your scalp. But the problem, but one thing you got to make sure is the risk, right? You got to make sure that you're not risking, you know, 400 to make 200. And like, not to take profits just based off of RR. So like, don't take profits up here just because you want a 1 to 2 risk to reward. You kind of should take profits where the chart, you know, where the market, what the market gives you. Understand that, like, for example, this move, right? It pushed up through this high, but understand that we could get a rejection there. We could sweep these highs and then dump back down. So are you willing to hold past those highs, knowing that this could be just a sweep and then it stops you out? Do you have a break-even stop? Like, there's so many ways to trade that... But yeah, it's good that you have a like a confirmation type of strategy. When you say gap, what gap are you talking about? I don't see any gaps. The gap, I mean imbalance. So like this box right here, that's a gap or an imbalance. When I say imbalance and gap, it's the same thing. I change it up. Sometimes use different terms for it. Gap, imbalance, fair value, gap. It's all the same thing. But a gap is pretty much, here, I'll show you on a higher time frame. It'll probably make sense, or it'd be easier to spot on a higher time frame. So right here, let me move this. So you see these three red candles? See how the bottom of this candle, like the wick, the bottom of this candle does not touch the top of this candle, right? So you see a gap in the market, this gap right here. You see how all this price right here, you see how it's all touching, it's all filling. There's no gaps, no gaps, no gaps. And then when you get to this area right here, bottom of this candle does not touch the top of this candle, so it leaves a gap. Same thing here. Bottom of this candle does not touch the top of that candle, left a gap. And you see gaps you see gaps on every single time frame. There's gaps. Same thing, 1 minute chart right there. There's a gap. So the top of this candle, the bottom of this candle does not touch the top of that candle, so you have a gap right there. So sometimes when those gaps pair up with other confluences, you can get a pretty decent entry for a scalp, or, you know, for a trade. So I was kind of like, I was expecting this move to happen, but I was expecting it to touch into the gap. So like, you know, kind of tap into this gap and then rip. But it just like, it just touched the top of it. It didn't even fill it. So. $732 bullseye. 732. Oh, you got, yeah. Bullseye got hit. Now got to pay attention to what happens in this imbalance. If this imbalance fills, I expect some form of rejection off this imbalance. I think we're getting to an area where price is likely to reject. So we're about to tap into that, where is it? 50, is it 15 minute? Or, let me see. Yeah. Actually, wait. I marked it out wrong. Oops. Yeah, I marked it out wrong. Hold on. Oopsies. It's actually like this, because there's that candle right there. That would be the gap. So I didn't even notice that gap already got filled. Actually, that's my fault. I didn't notice that. I thought I marked it out wrong. So that gap got initially filled. This push up, gap got filled. So now the gap got pretty much, the fact it already got filled, so it's not really something I would even look at anymore. That's my fault. But you see what price did. You got to pay attention to what price did, right? Price just had a pullback. Remember, old resistance, when it breaks, it turns into new support for it to continue going in, in that same direction. So, right, price opened up, right? We had a pullback, so it broke that high, pullback back, tap it as support. So now this old resistance now becomes new support when it pulls back and it taps off it. So you can kind of see why, right? Why it was bouncing off of here, right here. So I mean, at this point, we're above view up, right? So we're pretty bullish at this point. Oh, actually, wonder, did I get a setup for the other strategy? I wouldn't have took it anyways because the risk to reward just, I'm just curious to see if I would have gotten a, where's that 5 minute? 5 minute high, 5 minute low. All right. And then we got all right, so oh my gosh, we did get a setup. We got a setup, but so we got a setup for the first strategy, but the stop did not make sense unless I had my stop below these internal lows, which I wouldn't want to do just because I know that price could pull back and fill this imbalance right there. So all right, here's the right, so we did push back into this 5 minute, right? This 5 minute, if you've watched me, you know that that's my first strategy. When price pulls back into the 5 minute, first imbalance to the next liquidity. So here's where it happened, right? You had, oh my gosh, now I'm kind of like, you had a very tiny imbalance right there. So price pushed back into this 5 minute, left behind this imbalance. Technically, that would be the entry right there. So pull back into that imbalance, entry, and the target would have to be like these highs right there, right? So in order for this trade to make sense for me, my stop would technically have to be below these internal lows, but it just becomes like, is it worth taking the trade? Because I understand if price could potentially pull back, there's these resistance that turns into support paired with this gap. So last thing I want was price to pull back on me have my stop right here, stops me out, and then runs right back up. So for it to be a really good trade, I would have to have my stops below the lows. But my take profit would have had to been these highs. So that risk to reward. But the trade did work out. You see it push back into the 5 minute, tapped off that imbalance, and that's pretty much the rip right back to the upside. But I mean, it would have worked. I would have had to have my stops there if I took the trade because I'm not risking that much. So pretty much that would have been a 1-to-1 if I had my stops right there. I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice that happened. I was so focused on, actually, you know, I didn't notice it. That was the time I took the trade on the second chart. I actually took a short there. That's why I didn't notice it, because I was taking a short. But I could have literally taken a short, switched to my other accounts, and then took a long right there. Man, that's kind of, it's a little bit of a bummer. That would have been a oh well. Took a good long today. Yeah, there was opportunities for longs, definitely. We took out, those what is it? 15 minute. We took the 15-minute lows. We kind of, it wasn't a little sweep, it was a pretty big sweep, but the pre-market lows got taken out and then just freaking rocket ship back to the upside. So a little bit of a bummer that I missed this trade because I was so focused on my other accounts, but well, that would have put me very close to passing my accounts, this trade right here. I would have been like one trade away from passing if I would have took this trade. And to be honest, if I would have seen it, I probably would have taken it. I just was so focused on the other strategy that I didn't even notice that this strategy was literally giving me a setup. There'll be opportunity. Yeah, I know. It just sucks that, you know, because I'm so close to the only thing that sucks is I have like a couple trades to pass these accounts, and I wanted to take advantage of the freaking 80% the $80 activation fee on Apex. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I know. It is what it is. I didn't notice it, and it is what I mean. It'll happen again, so it's not like I missed my only shot for the. It just sucks because the only thing that bothers me is because I really wanted to pass these accounts by the 16th. So this would have really helped me out to almost. I saved like $200 by passing him by the 16th because of the activation fee on Apex, the discount. So that's the only reason I'm kind of like. I got 2 funded accounts now. Nice. Do you copy trade them? Like even 2 accounts, right? If you're risking $400 or $300, you know, per trade, that adds up. Even $300, that's a $600 day. That's a really good day. I passed my eval yesterday and now trading on my funded for the first time. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, take it easy. Wait for good quality setups. Don't like. And no matter how close you are to a payout, continue to take the same trades. Don't be the person that gets super close to a payout and then blows their account. Trust me, I've heard that before where somebody's so close to a payout, they want to take a couple more trades, they force a couple trades, they go into drawdown, they go on tilt, they blow their account. That happens more often than you would think. So no, it doesn't matter if you're $1 away from a payout. Wait for another setup and take the trade. Never force anything. Always wait for your setup. And that's what separates kind of the profitable traders from the ones who consistently just blow accounts. Wow, seems like we're starting to get a reversal here. Does Apex have the 5-day trading rule, or could you fund it in 1 day? So for evaluations, their evaluations are 1 day to pass. So you can pass an evaluation with Apex in 1 day. But when you get them put in a funded account, obviously there's like consistency rules and stuff like that. But in terms of just passing it, you can pass it in 1 day. So technically you still could if, you know, Apex, $85 activation fees. So technically you could take advantage of it if you know, it's $33 for the evaluation. And then they still have $85 for the 50,000 account and $85 activation. So you could technically pass it in 1 day and get it activated. Yeah, take profit. There's a minimum trading for even for evaluations and take profit. But Apex, it's 1 day to pass. So he actually started rejecting off that imbalance. Remember, bro, look at this. This is just, I don't know. This is just experience, I guess, in the market. Like being able to understand that I said this when price was all the way down here. I said there could be a very high probability price could reject somewhere right there. We're coming into that pivot point area. There's some imbalances there, like, right? If you look on the 5-minute chart, right, we're kind of tapping into an area where we do have some imbalances left. We got a resistance there. A big reason we do have a massive level of resistance to the left, right? All this support, all this previous support now could turn into what? Right? Resistance. So that's why I thought we could get, now we're tapping in, right? Now we're tapping into a bullish imbalance. So now we could get a support somewhere down here to potentially push it back up. It's just like, and watching the chart every day, you just begin to see why price does what it does. Like, oh, that's why it rejected there. Okay. So for next time, when you see that same thing again, you understand why price is doing what it's doing. And that's kind of your goal, even when you're not trading. Watching the charts and understanding why price is doing what it's doing. Why did price bounce there? Why is there a high likelihood price could bounce here? Well, why? Because there's an imbalance. Because there's a previous level of resistance now broke through, now taps into that imbalance, taps into that support level, and now we could get some form of buying pressure coming in as soon as we tap into that imbalance. So look what's happening on the 1 minute chart, right? Wow. Buying pressure starting to step in on the 1 minute chart, right? It's not a secret why it's happening, but sometimes our bias can get in the way of understanding what price. Exactly. That's why I'm big on not having a bias. You'll see a lot of traders come in and they're like, well, what's my bias on the day? My bias is a bullish bias. My bias is a bearish bias. Like, I think that could really screw you up, because when you have a bias and you want, like, say for example, if I come into the market and I have a bullish bias, right? I marked out higher level time frames, bullish bias, and then I come in and the market just starts tanking. Market, not only does it start taking, but every little uptrend gets sold off immediately. We're below view up. Everything is screaming short. But guess what? My bias is bullish. So what is that person going to do? Every little pullback, they're going to try to get long. They get long, they get stopped out. Breaks the low. They get long, they get stopped out. Why? Because they're so focused on their bias and failing to see what price action is telling them. So I come into the market, bruh, I have no bias. Like I said earlier on, I took a short right there. I took a short right here, right? Took profits, and then I could have literally taken a long for my other strategy. This was a long setup. So I literally had a short setup right there and then a long setup right there. I have no bias. I understand that price is going to do what it's going to do. My goal is not to make price do what I want it to do, right? You're a little grain of sand in an ocean. So you can't force, obviously none of us can force price to do what we want it to do. We're not hedge funds. So I never come into the day with a bias, ever. I have no idea what price is going to do. Right? Friday, what happened? That crash that happened. Nobody could have expected that. So it's like, unless you had insider information. But all I can do as a trader is have a strategy, come into the market, and just look at price action. Whatever price action tells me, my strategy sets itself up. I take it. I take what the market gives me. I don't get greedy. I take profits, and I walk away. And day after day, if you do that over a long term, right, that's how you become profitable. And these kind of levels where you have view up, you have the 200, you have these imbalances. Why do these confluences, right? View up, why does view up work so well? Every single, pretty much every single bot, and when I say bot, right, 90% of the NASDAQ is bots. It's all computers trading. It's not humans. When you see price action like this type of price action is not another human sitting on the other side of the world and trading too. You don't have just a bunch of people trading and that's why price moves. The way price is moving, the way it is right now, is because computers are trading, right? Citadel has their own algorithm. Goldman Sachs has their own algorithm. Every single hedge fund has their own algorithm coded for their strategy of trading. So this is just algorithms fighting against each other in real time. That's all it is. And that's 90% of the stock market is just bots and algorithms trading. The other 10% is humans like us sitting there trading. So we can't fight it. We're just like a little pebble just trying to get in on the momentum. That's it. and taking a little sliver of the pie. That's it. You take a little sliver of it, and that's it. All right, we're at 11 o'clock. Hourly candle is about to open up. So let's see that hourly candle. All right, got a big wick on that hourly candle. So hourly candle is about to open up in 30 seconds. So depending on, you know, opens up, it could start getting buying pressure, maybe step in once this opens up. Maybe may get a little pullback deeper into this and start ripping. News today? No, there was no news today. Powell speaks at 12:20 or something like that, but there was no news today. Oh, wow. Hourly candle opened up. We're ripping. I think we could get a little pullback to kind of this imbalance. Maybe put a wick on that hourly candle. $665. Yeah, it's not bad. This gap got filled. So this pullback right there, that gap got filled. That gap initially that we were looking at, right? Oh my gosh, this freaking... Right, so this initial gap that we were looking at right here. Remember that first pull up? I mean, I admit, I said I would have been scared taking this gap. The fact that the first time I had it marked out, right? It didn't even tap into it, and then we kind of took out those highs. So that would kind of scare me, not to be honest with you, taking it the second time. But it did. Looking back, hindsight 2020, it did pull back into this gap, fill it. Now we're ripping back to the upside. And there's a bigger time frame gap too. That 1 minute gap also pairs with, right? We have a 5 minute gap there too. A big 5 minute gap too. So not surprising why price is bouncing there. But I mean, I understand why 665. Here, give me a second. I'll be back. All right, we're still ripping. Yeah, it's ripping hard now. I mean, you said what, 665? Yeah, you were looking a little bit lower. Trust me, I've had that happen to me before where I have a level and it comes down and almost taps me in, and then fills me and then rips right without filling me. And then it's just like I miss out on the trade. And this is where also you got to be careful of not FOMOing in. This is where a lot of traders get screwed up, is when they wanted to enter. Say you wanted to enter 665 level, right? Say you had a limit order there. Price pulled back, almost got you into the trade, and then ripped all the way up without you. What a lot of traders, some traders have FOMO, and they end up going long at the very top right here because they feel like they're missing out on it, so they might as well just get in right here. Problem is now we're at a top, so now we can get a potential pullback. It's better to, if you miss the trade, just let it go. Let it go, wait for another trade. There's no reason to chase something, because the further you chase it up, the worse your risk gets, right? So if you do get a pullback, you end up losing more money than you wanted to. But, right, and always pay attention, like I said before, why price did what it did. That's the key, right? We knew we could have a pullback. We knew on a higher time frame, we're above the 200, right? We're above VWAP. So we're in bullish territory. So again, we had this gap right here, this 1 minute gap right there. You look on the 15-minute time frame. Now on the 15-minute time frame, what do you notice? There's also a massive 15-minute gap. So it tapped into that 15-minute gap, into that 1 minute gap, and then ripped. Also, another reason, why do these gaps work so well? Right? The bots, the algorithms, they're coded. The gaps are coded in there too. The algorithms, they look out for these gaps. So if you see something work very well, it's because everyone, the algos, the humans, everyone's looking at these gaps. So it works very well when at certain levels, right? Not every gap works. That doesn't mean every gap that forms, you just take a trade off it and it'll work. Right? You got to be very selective with what the gaps you take. That's why even with my other strategy, the gaps I take is a confirmation gap, where it pushes back into the 5 minute and then it leaves a gap, and that's my confirmation gap to go long. But right now, right, it's ripping really hard. We're going up. A lot of buying pressure stepping. I'm surprised this freaking dump. Why did that? Wild how the dump in the pre-market. I would be very shocked if we reclaimed that whole dump down pre-market. I would be pretty shocked. And pay attention, 15-minute chart, we're tapping into another gap. Oh, we're actually taking out the high. No, it tapped into that gap, my bad. It's the same gap. I always get confused because of how it formed. So we're taking out these highs. Right? Taking out these highs. There's a pivot point right there. Gap has already been filled, so that gap doesn't matter. But we do have a pivot point right there, so again, like if you're in a long, this is the reason why I have indicators, not to take trades off them, but to understand if I'm in a trade or I'm about to take a trade. I understand if I was in a long, I understand we could have reject right there. There's a pivot point right there. A lot of times we reject off pivot points, so my take profit would be according, because the last thing I want this thing to do is to reject there and then you get stopped out for a loss when you were so much in profit. See? We're starting to reject off the pivot point. It's not magic. I lost yesterday. That's fine. If you followed your plan, that's still a win in my book. I know that sounds super corny, but like, listen, it all comes down to following your plan. And I said this yesterday, right? When yesterday I came into the day, and I say this a lot of days. The only thing that can make today a bad day for me is if I don't follow my plan. That's it. Nothing else can make today a bad day. I can lose every trade I take and it still be a good day as long as I followed my plan. Why? Because I know the long term of my plan, right? When you've back tested your strategy and you know what your strategy holds up a longer term, you don't care about these little losses because you understand probability. You understand with an 80% win rate out of 10 trades, you still will have 2 losing trades, right? So those 2 losing trades don't define you as a trader. You taking a couple losing trades does not mean you're a bad trader. If anything, if you followed your plan and you risked properly, that means you're a good trader and you accepted the loss. So as long as you follow your plan, it's a good day regardless if you made money or lost money. And you have your data set. If you go on a losing streak more than usual, well, now you got to start to look at your data and start to go, okay, why am I losing more than usual? I have to size down. I have to scale back, take a step back, and see what's going on. Did the market change? Is there a reason why my strategy is not working as well as it used to be? Maybe the market's shifting, right? Maybe the news came out. Something is going on. I need to adjust my strategy. And that's kind of when you go into grind mode and you figure out what the heck is going on with your strategy if your data starts to change. And hedge funds, bro, they're always shifting their strategy according to like market sentiment, right? That's kind of what they do on the weekends. If you don't know a lot about, like, I've went into a deep dive with this before, the way hedge funds work. Hedge funds have a strategy during the weekend. A lot of times they'll kind of like, they'll tweak their strategy a little bit. They'll tweak their strategy according to new news and this and that, and they, you know, they make adjustments to it. And then they do sim testing, right? They start testing out their update for Monday. A lot of times, what I've heard is Sunday night. A lot of times, that's when they'll do their sim testing and they'll test everything out, so that when Monday comes, it's go time. Hedge funds do a decent amount of sim testing. People don't understand that. Like, there was a story of a hedge fund where their algorithm glitched out for some reason. And that's why you kind of have these quants at hedge funds. They're keeping track of these algorithms and making sure these algos don't go haywire, because algos still can make mistakes too. And what ended up happening was an algo started glitching, and by the time they realized it and fixed it, it was like 30 minutes. They had lost close to $400 million in 30 minutes because the algo was glitching out and it was taking dumb trades. That's freaking wild. So they go on sim testing, they make sure it works good, and they're watching it all the time to make sure. I mean, they got quants like Citadel. They'll have quants 24/7 like keeping track of the algo, making sure, because one little screw up or glitch in the algo can cost I'm sure they have like shutdown safeguards, but like, you know, it's crazy. So whole point is, you know, you gotta take a step back sometimes. If your strategy does not work as well, there's nothing wrong with maybe taking a step back and sim trading. If hedge funds do that, why the heck are we better than hedge funds? We think that all of a sudden, like, but you know, as long as your data is playing out, you don't have to worry about losing trades. But once your data starts to shift, then you got to take a step back, de-risk, figure out what you got to, maybe you got to make some tweaks in your strategy. Starting to bounce off this, we kind of took out this high. Buy. I don't know, man. Is it buying level? Is it buy time? Wow, TikTok's not giving me those, what's it called? Those puzzles anymore. Awesome. I was sick of those puzzles. I think it's because I wasn't moving around enough. I gotta move around more so that their AI doesn't think I'm... Because when I sit still and I talk, I think the AI picks it up as nothing is going on. So then it makes me solve a verification puzzle, but it doesn't work, and then I get kicked off. I'm trading NQ, NASDAQ. Wow, we're... Told you. Bro, I'm telling you, I call this crap out like it's... I said we could have a rejection off that pivot. Be careful. That's why I have these pivots on here. Understand that. Could it have ripped through the pivot and just continued? Yeah, of course. Anything could happen. But I understand there is a higher probability that we could have some form of rejection off that pivot point. So that, I said, if you're in a long, be careful. Last thing you want to do, especially in prop firm accounts, you don't want to be up a crazy amount of money and then and then it pulls back on you, because a lot of prop firms have trailing drawdown. So how long have you been trading? Oh, I mean, I've been full time. It's actually been 3 years full time. But before that, I was obsessed with trading. I learned about it a lot before that. Like, I never thought it could be like a full-time thing for me. I never thought before, when I initially started trading, I never thought that this could like be a reality for me, honestly speaking. Because back then, when I traded, you know, when I was trading stocks, options, all that, in order for you to day trade in, like, say, the stock market, you need, the PDT rule applies to the stock market, so you need at least 25,000 in your account to even trade. So, like, day trade. So, and obviously it's like 3 times a week or whatever, but what are you gonna do 3 times a week? But yeah, I was obsessed with it. I started to learn a lot about it back in the day, and then I decided to like start doing it every single day. Like 3 years ago, I started to take it seriously, where I'm hopping in on the chart and I'm staring at the market every single day for 3 years. So it's like now I'm at the point where, you know, I got my strategy dialed in, and all in terms of, for me now, all it is just be careful and scale up. That's it. So actually January, I'm planning to take a $20,000 payout in December, right? So when I take that 20K payout in December, I'm gonna take 5K and I'm gonna fund I'm planning to fund a live account. And my plan is to continue trading prop firm accounts in January, fund a $5,000 live account, have my live account as my main account, and copy trade onto my funded accounts, so that I could be making money on my funded accounts and I could be making money on a live account. And my goal is to scale that live account as much as I can. My plan is, in the beginning, I'm gonna be pretty aggressive with it. The first month, I'm gonna be pretty much risking like 10% per trade, which is very, very aggressive, right? That first month, once I hit about 10K, I'm scaling to 5% risk and then 5% dynamic risk. So it's like, I will potentially, if I go on a losing streak, size down half size. But my goal is to scale that account to, you know, 50K, 100K, and see within half a year how much I could scale that account. But I'll need to keep money into it, right? I can't take money out, so I'll need to keep building up that account. And the higher, and this is where, right, the 8th wonder of the world comes in, or 7th wonder, what is it? But this is one of the wonders of the world, is compounding, right? When you have a strategy and you can sit there and compound it, like say take 5%. 5% of 10,000 is completely different than 5% of 20,000. So the higher your account goes, the more it compounds, the faster it grows. If you use a prop firm with a trailing drawdown, you deserve to blow every account you have. Why? Why? You just have to be aware of it. I mean, I gotta admit, it does kind of suck. Trailing drawdown is kind of a stupid rule. I gotta admit, it is a stupid rule, but listen, it's not like, it doesn't, like, for example, me, it has no effect on me. Like, I take 1-to-1. I take pretty much 1-to-1 scalps, so it really does not affect me whatsoever. Now, if you're someone, right, if you're someone who tries to go to for a 1 to 5 R trade, I understand. The prop firm with a trailing drawdown is not a prop firm for you. You can't say that the prop firm sucks because it has a trailing drawdown, right? Just because your strategy is not suitable for that prop firm does not mean the prop firm sucks. You go to a prop firm that has an end of day drawdown. That's it. Simple as that. Right? It would be the same thing as me saying, your strategy sucks. It didn't work today. It's like, that strategy may not, or strategy may not be suited for a specific market. Maybe in one market it works, the other market it doesn't work, but you can't say it sucks. You just have to go with what works for your strategy. That's it. Simple as that. I admit it does suck. That's part of the reason why I don't leave runners, right? I was debating this in my trading for a long time, if I should leave runners or not. I don't leave runners because of the trailing drawdown. It doesn't make sense for me to leave runners. It's just, I take what I can. Typically 1-to-1, high probability, high win rate, 1-to-1 scalps. It doesn't affect me. If I had to, have a strategy, I would go to a different prop firm. If that really affected my strategy and system, I would switch to a prop firm without a trailing. So, all right, we're still getting that. So we kind of took out these highs too. Took out those highs. Now we're. All right, I'm about to hop off soon. Ugh. We're still above UOP. Let me see. Yeah, we still got that gap too. 15-minute chart gap. Look at that gap. Actually, it barely filled it. That's the gap that barely got filled. So, I mean, it filled it, but oh, inactivity, crap. All right, I may have to. I'm gonna be hopping off soon. If this thing ends up kicking me off the live due to inactivity, I mean, I'm just gonna. That'll be the end of it. Sorry, and it kicks me off. I'm reporting this problem. Report it. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. Oh, actually. Yeah, it's such a messed up. Trying to. Oh my gosh. That's the first one I actually was able to solve. Short from 2-minute gap. Pretty big wick on the... Talking about 2-minute, like this little... This tiny one? Or is there another 2-minute... I don't know. I mean... Yeah, I could see it. It's tough. It's tough because we're like... Pay attention, we're in bullish territory. So that's the tough part. Like, pretty much longs are like, you could scalp it. I would scalp it, maybe. But I wouldn't expect to, you know, price to drop all the way down here or something. Like, if I was to take that scalp, my take profit would probably, you know, I don't know, be the body candle lows maybe. And then a stop above the highs. But at the same time, you shorting here, I mean, there's a pretty good chance I could rip. We're above VWAP, we're bullish territory, so it's pretty bullish. So you're trying to fade, right? Shorting here, you're trying to fade the momentum, which you can if you're scalping. Alright, I'm gonna be hopping off and I gotta go. I gotta work today. I gotta go eat and work. Nice. So my take profit would be body candle lows. Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy. Take what the market gives you. Don't expect, you know, anything crazy. And if something crazy happens, all you can do is follow your plan. Like, understand that we got VWAP right there. Right below these levels, we got VWAP to 200. We have a pivot point. There's a lot of support down here. A lot of support. So, what I'm saying is don't, you know... Don't let it run down here and then run all the way back up and stop you out. Now, I guess if you wanted, you could put a break-even stop. I mean, there's so many ways to trade it, but understand that you are trading kind of against momentum. Put a break. That's a strategy too. If you're expecting maybe a big move and you're willing to take a break-even trade, and you're willing to, you know, me personally, I don't like to do that. I like to just take, if the market gives me, you know, this, I take it and I move on. But if you want to potentially drop all the way, I mean, I highly doubt this thing is gonna, we do have gaps down there, but we're still pretty bullish territory. Gap forming in 1 minute. Hope we get this. My take profit would be the body candle lows. Just that's me. That's what I would do. But you do you. That's not me. We got the 1 minute candle opening up in less than a couple seconds. Wait, what the heck? Oh, I'm on the 2 minute chart. I'm like, Bro, what the heck? Why did that candle open up? We're on the 2-minute chart. I forgot. I thought I was on the 1-minute chart. There you go. That tripped me out a little bit. So that would be... TP wouldn't have gotten hit yet. Let's see. There is a 1-minute gap, yeah. And understand also, we're at 11:30, right? Typically this kind of time frame, we get a lot of sideways. We don't get any really crazy movement like we do in the mornings. It's 11 o'clock, 11:30. We get chopped sideways a lot of times. Very slow, kind of slower price action. Tapping into that 1-minute imbalance. See what happens here. I said, be careful. It's a don't get greedy on these kind of like. No, I'm about to hop off soon. I'm gonna hop off actually right now. It's 11:30. I gotta go. I gotta work. But so all right, I'm gonna thought you was working. I mean, this is work, but I'm saying I have other things I gotta do. I took a trade, man. I took a trade. I made my money that I wanted to make off the market today, and I move on. I'm not the person that's gonna sit here all day and try to take every single move. And like, I took what I wanted out of the market. I took what it gave me, and I walk away. I have other things I do. I buy and sell cars, so I gotta fix some cars up. I gotta do some stuff. I gotta, so I got other things I gotta do too. So walk away, take what the market gave you, and come back another day. There's gonna be tomorrow. There's gonna be, so there's no reason to try to catch every move and then go on tilt because you keep losing your profits. So that's that. All right, I'm gonna I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all peace out. Have a good one. Don't overtrade. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.